I will talk about Cirpass 2, Digital Product Passport enabling at scale and real-life circular economy use case in electronics, textile, tire, and construction value chain. Again, it's a mouthful, and those who have been together, I think that have followed since the beginning, Cirpass is an acronym of also something that's streamlined. So academics love their long titles. What is Cirpass? Cirpass was funded through the European Commission. It can be seen as the continuation of the Cirpass 1 project, and it kept the same name because it's the same people that are coordinating, namely CEA in France. The first Cirpass was a coordinating and supporting action, so we've been dubbed as the talk show. So there was a lot of talk about create consensus of what is a digital product pass, how can we describe this, what the system would be, and stuff like that. This time is much more hands-on, so it's an innovation action type of project. The full budget is a little bit more than 12.5 million euro, 50%, roughly 50% financing, so 6 million euros coming from the EU. And we are one of the then 49 partners, 3 years starting in May this year. In Cirpass 1, there was 3 value chain, electronic, textile, and battery. You will notice now that the battery was not in the title because battery has its own project. So it's a separate one that goes maybe a little bit faster since battery has a lot is already known, and they are the first one that will get to the finish line. The goal is to test at-scale solution for the digital product pass while focusing on the business-to-business stuff. You have Trust Trace haven't really. You talked about standards. So there's a huge effort on the system side for the digital product pass of standardization. If you're interested into this, you should check in Sweden. The committee is 639. So CIS 639. There's only 25 companies that are involved in that committee, and there will be thousands of companies that will be affected by this. So if you have time to put and the interest for a standard, you can do that. And again, this is the system part, so how the system will work. The type of identification number, the type of identification and identifier, so QR codes, and then everything that how the stuff will be working. One thing that was very important in Cirpass 1 and that continues now is the kind of greater good and consensus. So demonstrate cross-pilot interoperability is very important. So they don't want, the goal is not to have 13 pilots that develop their own ecosystem and then like nothing works between them. So there needs to be some sort of use for everyone. And there's a huge part on SME, and this is where we are doing our work to make sure that they will be able to keep up with the legislation. It's always the same things. And also to support the deployment of DPP, what we call DPP as a service. Trust Trace is an example of DPP as a service. I don't know if you're calling yourself that, but you are. And then also go beyond that. I will not read all the thing, but as I said, we are trying to solve mostly 2 problems. And how can we, all industry, agree on a common DPP system that is compliant with that? And the problem number 2, if I can click myself through the first slide, am I not at the right place maybe? Yes, how can all industry agree on an extensible and flexible DPP system? So the Cirpass is everything after sales, the focus. So this is the primary focus of Cirpass 2. This is from market placement, so the first time that the thing gets sold. So everything that happens before it is sold, we assume that the information is just there. And our vision for the digital product pass is that basically there will be a core of mandatory data to allow the circular economy. And then there will be a bunch of non-mandatory data that will be possible to put. And that's what you showed Trust Trace. It's a very good example of this. there was for a very brief moment of time disagreement if the non-mandatory could be allowed, but now there seems to be agreement again that the non-mandatory will be possible. There's even discussion, there's a sidebar, but there's even discussion, companies are already thinking like, if non-mandatory data is available, do I need to print, for example, the manual of instruction? Because then the packaging can be smaller, and then I'm saving on paper, for example. So it's an example of how this can be used for companies. The timeline of the project and the timeline of the regulation, like as we know it today, I would say. So the ASPR was adopted 2 weeks ago, final adoption. And then the standardization of the system, it's not a marathon, it's really a sprint until end of next year. So the European Commission has mandated SAMS and ELEC, the organization in Europe that will take care of the standardization, to come up with the standard by the end of next year. It's very, very short. There's 8 areas of standardization, so it's a huge effort. And then the first passports will be, they say, I think it was like the first week of February 2027. So the project is basically spanning across all of this, and the end is April 2027. I will skip this, I think. The project partners, so on the first picture that I had, I said that we are 49 partners. Are they the same partners than the Cirpass 1? Partly. So the white one are the Cirpass 1 partners, the yellow one are Cirpass new partners from Cirpass 2. In this 49, this is people that are involved, that are leading tasks or leading work packages, and people that are leading one of the 13 what they call lighthouse pilots. Every pilot comes with a full ecosystem, and in general, it's one partner that's member in Cirpass, and then there can be like 10 other partners that's not. So the full Cirpass is something like 200 partners, but the consortium agreement will not be with all of these people. And then there's also expert working groups partners that are extra to this. So there's really a lot of people that are involved in this. Yes, there's 5 expert working group, one that is more on the higher level with the global regulatory context, one on standardization, one on textile, one on electronics, and one on the customization and deployment of DPP. There was discussion in the mail about this line here. I have no idea if the 100 participants has been reached in all of these, because they limit this, otherwise it's not manageable to do that. And there are some requirements for this. So they say 10 to 20% days over 3 years, plus 2 optional in-person meeting. But they're knowing the coordinator of Cirpass, and based on previous experience in Cirpass, the first one, even those who are not directly connected to the project will be able to take part in the information and the things. Okay. Yep. This is what a little bit I said. Every pilot is coming. So there's 13 pilots. Is on the next one now. There's 13 pilots. This one will talk next after me. I'm assuming that they will discuss about this. The first 6 are textile. Then there is 5 on electronics, 1 on tires. The Michelin France is leading this one, and 1 on construction product. So it's very broad. And to get in this, basically, there was a selection process. So people that the coordinator made open call. She basically said, those who want to be in our application can send an application to us, and there was some review process for that. So they got much more than these 13. But at some point, you need to limit because it becomes a little bit too big. And these pilots, basically, they have, most of them are led by Digital Product Passport as a service provider, but they have committed to develop something that will not limit the people participating to their own system. So So really keeping it open, accept the risk and require that agility needed to adapt because it's very it's fluctuating ground that we are standing on. Respect and not the high variety of solution and not impose their own solution. It was very short because it started a few months ago. We had the kickoff in Brussels the first week of May. And then I think those of you who are already member of Cirpass 1 on LinkedIn, it will kind of transfer. But this is how you keep in touch. And I would say also those of you, everything that came out of Cirpass 1 is very interesting. There's stuff on the system. There's one on how will the DPP work, what kind of interaction everyone will have with DPP, a list of DPP initiatives. So the resource of Cirpass 1 are very good to consult. Sometimes it's a very long document, but just check the table of content and read the maybe 5 pages.